Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to you from Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. An Eastern Conference clash tonight in the USL Championship as the Riverhounds of Pittsburgh take on Memphis 901 FC, presented by Allegheny Health Network. Sean St. Jacques, Ricky Lopez Espin on hand for you for this one. And Ricky, we begin by taking a look at the Eastern Conference table. The first place Riverhounds against fourth place Memphis.
I think it's going to be very interesting. The first 10 to 15 minutes here, Sean. Memphis 901, Pittsburgh Riverhounds losing at home, both of them. But for Bob Lilly, they've been so good at home. So what does that look like the first 10, 15 minutes? Asking questions of Memphis 901, and it starts with being compact in the back.
Pittsburgh coming off their first home defeat of the entire campaign. Back-to-back 3-1 losses against Charleston, and then that big one against Indy. Bob Lilly told us this week the Indy game in particular was a disappointing result. They didn't get the reaction that we are come to expect out of the Riverhounds in recent years under Bob Lilly. They're hoping to rectify that again tonight against a very tough Memphis team. And they're hoping that Albert Dikwa off the bench to begin the night is a big part of it.
And he's been so massive for the Riverhounds this year. They've been so impressed with his movement, especially in around that 18-yard box, and how clinical he's been. He won't start tonight, but make no mistake about it, Sean. When he gets on the field, he's going to be motivated. He's going to want to make his impact felt, and he's going to be a game changer for Bob Lilly and the Riverhounds here tonight.
Back in the early weeks of the season, had a hat trick for Pittsburgh at Memphis. You're seeing the goals from that now. He's been so good since then. So is Aaron Malloy for Memphis. He scored here against Pittsburgh the last time Memphis came to Highmark.
And a general in the center of the park. He's going to sit right in front of that back line and dictate tempo. But what's so impressive about Aaron Malloy, the ability to pass it, the passing range, to break lines with his vision, his technique. But the question is for Stephen Glass and Memphis 901, how quickly can he get in a rhythm? How quickly can he be comfortable on the ball here tonight for the visitors?
It doesn't get much better than this at this stage of this USL Championship regular season. Two of the best in the East clashing at Highmark tonight with a lot on the line. The kickoff from the Steel City is coming up next.
At AHN, we see you when everything's going great, and when that's not the case at all. We see you needing expert care every single day, and excited for all that's to come. At AHN, we see you.
Oh, things just got really gusty.
You got that right. Sweet kite. Is that a dragon?
It's a dinosaur.
I really like yours, too.
Of course, the new scratch-off from the PA lottery.
That's right. $1 million cash fall.
With top prizes of...
Wow, $1 million.
I guess things really are looking up.
It'll blow you away. Keep on scratching.
Set summer in motion with the most electrifying Honda vehicles yet. Like the CR-V and the Accord, both with available hybrid powertrains, designed to deliver more thrilling performance and more innovative tech. Make every adventure more electrifying with Honda, the most awarded brand in Car and Driver 10 Best history. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or visit your local Honda dealer today.
Okay, this is really happening. We're going to the Museum of Play. Do I start in the video game arcade, go to the aquarium, play superhero, or visit Sesame Street? What about the train? Legos, spaceships, giant puppets. We're not even out of the driveway and I'm already freaking out. Ah!
With so much to do and see, everyone loves the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York.
Tonight's match is presented by Allegheny Health Network, the official medical provider of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC. Sean and Ricky back here with you. Both of the lineups tonight are presented by Armina Stone. We begin with the 11 for Bob Lilly.
I think you have to look at that middle three, Forbes, Ibarra, and Griffin. What does that relationship look like? Sometimes Griffin's going to drop in. Forbes is going to push a bit higher. And the relationship between Obregon Jr. and Shawonmi. Shawonmi's going to stay high. He's going to occupy the two center backs from Memphis 901. So Obregon has to have the ability to stretch this back line and ask questions of Memphis 901 here tonight.
On the other side of things for Stephen Glass's group, Memphis haven't won a game in over a month, Ricky. This is the 11 that's going to try and change that.
And first and foremost, that back line, they need to be compact. They need to stay together, keep everything in front of them. But we talked about Malloy in the open, Hyman right next to him. Those two players, that give and take relationship. As Hyman steps up to the middle field, you're going to see Malloy drop in front of that back four, and then DaCosta, the movement to pop in the hole, but also spin in behind and ask questions of this Riverhounds back line. But you talk about the ability to get on the ball, to create 1v1 opportunities, combination play. That's something that Stephen Glass is going to want to see on the attacking phase. Keys
to the game tonight are brought to you by Premium Light Lager that embodies all things black and gold IC Light. We begin with Pittsburgh, Ricky.
I think stretch the game. We talk about the ability to get in behind because as Peters and Smith, the two center backs from Memphis 901, as they're going to drop, that's going to leave real estate for Danny Griffin to operate in and be disruptive. We talk about Memphis 901 being good on the ball, wanting to be possessed and base. They want to be methodical in the way that they build up. So how quickly can you make them uncomfortable? And we talked about it for Memphis 901, that middle two, Hyman and Malloy. They're going to be dictating tempo. They want to get on the ball and they want to play the game on their terms.
Both teams hoping to bounce back after tough results last time out. It was a first home loss of the season for Bob Lilly's group in a 3-1 defeat here against Indy 11. Last time out, Memphis hasn't won a game in the league since June 24th. 5 games without a win. The last one was a heartbreaker as well. Led multiple times against Orange County. Lost 4-3 at home to Orange County, a team that has turned a corner in the USL Championship, but Memphis need to turn a corner as we get closer to the stretch run towards the USL Championship playoffs. Pittsburgh, of course, are hoping that they're here for a big chunk of the USL Championship playoffs, and that means a win tonight could be huge for them as well. Bob Lilly talked to us about the tiebreakers. It's getting to that time of the year in the USL Championship. Memphis kick us off at Highmark, and we are off and running on a gorgeous night in the Steel City. Memphis are in their whites from head to toe, and Pittsburgh, as you might expect, in their black and yellows. Rematch from an early season tilt in Memphis that Pittsburgh won by 3-1. An Albert Dequa hat trick. He begins the night on the bench for Bob Lilly's group. Memphis, the last time they were at Highmark, last August, they won here by 2-0. It's their only win ever against Pittsburgh, home or away. Memphis is hoping to change their recent run of form. Pittsburgh, with their first real bump in this regular season, are hoping for a response here tonight in front of their home crowd that they've only sent home sad once all year, and it was the last time they were here.
I think you're going to get a very good little taste of the character of this Riverhounds side, because we talked about it in the open, Sean, how good the Riverhounds been at home. But you lose at home, probably a bit frustrating the way that you came out in the first 10 minutes, didn't have the reaction that he would like. So again, the first 10 to 15 minutes here for this home side, it's going to be really interesting and very telling how this match is going to go out.
Dos Santos controls for the Riverhounds here. Near side to Arturo Ordonez, who tries to curl one in behind. Could fall for an early chance. Obregon Jr. gets in behind. And Drew Romig controls for Memphis as that nearly was able to get all the way through behind Memphis's back line.
We've seen through the Riverhounds always play with the one striker system, but now you throw in Obregon Jr. and Shawanmi, so it's going to ask questions and test the shape. Jelani Peters and Graham Smith, the two center backs from Memphis 901.
3 goals in the league for Tolo Shawanmi so far this season. Juan Obregon Jr. hasn't gotten off the mark yet in a Pittsburgh shirt. We'll see if that changes tonight. And for Memphis 901, the attacking side of the game has never been in question under Stephen Glass, especially in this recent run, but it's been the defensive side of the game that has let them down. Just look at that Orange County game last time out. You score 3 goals at home and lose the game. And I'm sure Stephen Glass is hoping to tighten things up defensively this evening.
I mean, you already see 19 games played, 35 goals for, 32 goals against. And that's something that if you're Stephen Glass, you want to right that ship wrong, especially on the back line, because there is talent, but how do you get clean sheet after clean sheet? It's going to be very difficult here at Highmark, where Riverhounds have been so good.
You could argue for Memphis, that's the missing piece from turning them into, from contenders to title challengers in the USL Championship. Jelani Peters with the challenge. Former Riverhound, of course, played here under Bob Lilly a season ago for Pittsburgh. He makes his return tonight.
Already we see it, Sean, this Riverhound side stepping extremely high, especially with the wingbacks. So many times Rivera's pressing high onto Akeem Ward. So again, the two center backs, how clean can they be with dealing with this initial pressure from Memphis 901 is going to be extremely key here today.
We chatted with Bob Lilly earlier in the week, and he just talked to us about how disappointed he was in the Indy result. Said the Charleston game, that game happens from time to time in a season, but the fact that they didn't react, said that his team wasn't as ready as he hoped they would be ahead of that Indy game in the early minutes in particular, and it cost them last time out, and they were hoping to right that wrong this evening. Just cleared forward, I should say, for Memphis, only as far as Ordonez, who spears one to the opposite end of the pitch. Junior Etu controls it nicely and wins a throw-in. Elton Garcia in blue tonight is our center official. And there was some early murmurs of bad weather at Highmark tonight, but so far it's been gorgeous as Obregon Jr. gets in behind, and the flag is up. Look at that, partly sunny and 75 in
Perfect
Pittsburgh.
Football weather.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Ricky. You're not going to get much better than that.
And very interesting for this home side. The front line, just a relationship between Shawanmi and Obregon Jr. Obregon Jr. was so good at Hartford, scoring goals for fun, the ability to sniff out half opportunities. So how quickly can he get on the ball and get his service? Because Shawanmi, he's going to be a target man that's back to goal. So you're asking for Obregon Jr. to do a lot of the dirty work, whether it's popping into the hole, but also just stretching and running in behind the center backs for Memphis 901.
Malloy, the Irishman from Dublin in the Republic of Ireland, wins a throw-in for Memphis. We talked about his beautiful finish here in Pittsburgh a season ago. In a 2-0 win, Luis Fernando, who's in Memphis's starting lineup, scored the first goal in that Memphis win under Ben Pierman at the time, now the Charleston coach. And you can see there on the pitch as well, the GK that has been etched into the Highmark ground this evening. It's been a tough couple of days for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds family. Gene Klein, an absolute legend and Pittsburgh Riverhounds Hall of Famer, passed away after a long battle with cancer, 71 years of age. And it's really a huge loss for the entire Western Pennsylvania soccer community at large, not just the Riverhounds organization. Just a giant of the game in this region of the country. Again, one of 6 members of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds Hall of Fame, was an assistant coach, head coach, general manager, and broadcaster for Pittsburgh. As a foul's going to go against Showunmi and the Riverhounds here. Memphis will reset. And was also pivotal in helping to keep the club afloat throughout reorganization back in 2007, and helped to restructure the club's academy as well. Just an absolute giant. And he is remembered this evening in Pittsburgh as we saw the last challenge there that awarded Memphis a free kick. Headed out of play by Dos Santos. Memphis looking to gain some momentum here. Get a throw with 7 minutes gone. It's a lovely finish by Reese Buckmaster in that Orange County defeat last time out. Gorgeous volley. And kind of felt like from that point forward, Memphis was going to go on and win that game. It just didn't happen. Orange County are not the Orange County we saw in the early weeks of this season. They look more like the 2021 team that surprised everyone and won the title.
I think as we walk into the second half of the season, the ability to seek games out is going to be massive for not only Memphis 901, but every single team in the USL Championship. The talent has been raised, the quality has been raised, so the margin of error is so slim. Defensively, how tuned in can you be from minute 1 to minute 90? And how compact can you be clinical in both boxes? And that's something that you're Stephen Glass, yes, you do extremely well to go up at home against a very different Orange County, like you said, Sean. To concede all those goals at home, that's going to be very frustrating for Memphis 901 and their head manager.
Has flared forward in behind. Ordonez on the cover. Jamali Waite just about kept that in play. And the Jamaican international resets. Played on the Jamaican team that got to the Gold Cup semifinals during this season's competition, major tournament in CONCACAF, only to be beaten by the eventual champions Mexico, added a 9th title to their resume. Jamali Waite got some game time during the Gold Cup as well, and that's a misplaced pass there, gives it back to Pittsburgh. That's a national team where Andre Blake normally gets the reps for the Reggae Boys, but Jamali Waite got some time. Shows you his progression as a player. Showunmi's pressure, Griffin trying to help out as well. Malloy comes out with it for Memphis.
You're 9 minutes in, Memphis 901 having a very difficult time just trying to play out of the back, trying to complicate things. The risk and versus reward isn't that we always talk about. Yes, you want to play centrally. Yes, you want to be possession based, but also no problem going direct and just gaining some real estate. Better there.
Little touch from Kisiedu. And it's a good step defensively by Dos Santos. Memphis keeps it on the far side with a throw.
I think a key for Stephen Glass and the visitors is just the movement centrally. Whether it's Kisiedu, who starts on this left-hand side, but by trait, he wants to get on the ball, so he's going to take central locations, but the players around him, this young man, Aaron Malloy, Emerson Heineman as well, and Turchi, excuse me, what does that relationship look like in the spaces that they pick up between lines? That's going to be massive for the visitors here tonight.
Buckmaster on the far side, resets. Malloy. Had Ward on the near side. Ward picks it up. Malloy looking centrally, plays it to the far side. Etu steps in and picks the pass off. Then Ibarra trying to win it back. Sees Malloy keep it with a nice little give and go. Malloy slices the ball into the penalty area and the shot is in! 10 minutes gone and Memphis scores the first goal of the match. And for the second year running at Highmark, Luis Fernando scores against the Riverhounds to give them the lead. Last year in August, he scored in the 7th minute. He scores this time in the 11th minute.
Just off the heels of what I'm talking about, century, but look at the change of the movement from Fernando. As Joey Farrell's get caught ball watching, just to come outside to inside, and it's a brilliant first touch. It's a brilliant angle here to beat his individual marker, but how quick does he get it out of his feet? Head down, low and hard to that near post. Nothing Jamali Wade can do, and it's a dream start for Memphis 9-1. How clinical Fernando has been. 5th goal in the year. Memphis 9-1 get their goal.
It's almost a carbon copy of the goal they scored here in the 7th minute a year ago, Memphis. Same player, almost the same spot on the pitch with his same left boot. Same story for Pittsburgh. They trail again here at Highmark.
But as a striker, just so important, having the ability to create your own space. The movement he does before he gets that ball is exquisite. He understands Joey Farrell is pushing a bit wide. I just create a little bit of separation. Brilliant first touch, and how composed is he? Well, 20 yards out. So now again for the Riverhounds, what's the reaction look like? 12 minutes in, already down at home. We want to get on the ball a bit more, be more confident moving the ball from left to right and find those gaps between lines.
Bob Lilly talked to us about how Memphis is the fresher team, but they have to dictate the tempo, the Riverhounds do, in this game. That hasn't happened yet. And Memphis has the first goal. Etu trying to respond for Pittsburgh here. And he wins a corner for the Hounds on the far side.
Riverhounds fans, it's time for a Quantum Spirits corner kick. Let's show the Hounds our Quantum Spirit.
Bernardo Forbes, who else to take the corners for Pittsburgh? Sitting on 49 Riverhounds assists. Curls in a beautiful ball, and it goes over everybody's head in the end, and it goes out for a goal kick. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XMFC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesday nights at 7 Eastern. Plus, hear live matches from the USL, MLS, English Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XMFC 157 and the SXM app. Memphis ends up dealing with the Riverhounds set-piece opportunity. And Stephen Glass's group get just the start they were hoping for in search of their first win in over a month. June 24th, a 3-2 win at home against Charleston, the last time they got 3 points. Etu sliding it through for Show On Me. Forbes for Griffin. Griffin chopping it back into the penalty area, and it's split between Show On Me and Forbes. It goes out for a goal kick.
It's a good idea there from Danny Griffin as he did a great first touch out of his body, the oncoming run from Bernardo Forbes. But you want to get a little bit more air underneath it. Play in behind this back line for Memphis 9-1. Those two players need to link up for Bob Lilly. So special, so have a very good relationship and understanding the movements of one another. I haven't seen that enough 15 minutes in for the home side.
Saw the stat flash up on the screen there. 36 goals for Memphis now as a team this season. Near the top in the USL Championship. It's whether or not they can do the job defensively. It's going to be a big factor the rest of the way this season for the visitors tonight. Last time Memphis had a clean sheet in a game, have to go all the way back to June 17th, a home game against Detroit City. That game finished 0-0. And it's one of just, I believe, 3 clean sheets that Memphis has had all season. Pittsburgh looking for a response. Pass is cut out by Akeem Ward. Pittsburgh does reset with Dos Santos. Pittsburgh are sitting on 999 goals as a franchise, so the next goal they score would be goal 1,000 in Riverhounds history. Ward under pressure in front of his manager, wins the throw. Well, the win that Memphis had here in August against Pittsburgh a year ago is their only win ever against the Riverhounds in 5 prior contests. Pittsburgh has won every other meeting between these two. So if Memphis is going to follow that same script, they've already gotten to the first checkpoint. Here's Rivera. Ordonez. It's played centrally into some space for Ibarra. Into the middle for Juan Obregon Jr. And he slices it wide of the post. That was a real chance for one of the new Riverhounds. And he spurns the opportunity.
Very similar for Memphis 901's goal, just getting in front of your individual mark. It's a first touch that takes Graham Smith out of the game. He does the hard part, not lacking a bit of quality and composure that we've come to expect from Obregon Jr. Just pulls it a bit too wide, but his movement has been so good 17 minutes in. Just playing off the shoulder of his individual center back. Just asking for that last bit of quality that's been lacking for Obregon Jr. since he came over to the Riverhounds.
His first Riverhounds goal could have been the franchise's 1,000th. Wasn't able to hit the target. But that's what Bob Lilly wants. More chances to be more lethal in the final third. Said it wasn't up to snuff in that regard against Indy 11 last time out.
I also think if you're the Riverhounds, can you play in front of this back four from Memphis 901? It's going to be key. Whether it is Ibarra, whether it is Griffin facing forward, and the movement on the front line needs to be just a tiny bit better, especially through Shawonmi. If he's going to occupy the center back, that's fine, but there needs to be a secondary action like we saw from Obregon Jr. And then the balance for Stephen Glass. Yes, we've talked about how good they are offensively on the ball, especially that middle three, Turchi, Heinemann, Malloy, throwing to Seydu, especially in the center park. But again, defensively, who's going to drop down and be compact and be that ball winner right in front of that back four? That's going to be the question mark for Memphis 901 as they progress in this 2023 season.
Ordonez can certainly pick out a pass. It's a beauty down that far side for Etu to control. Forbes was looking for it initially. Etu thinks better of it. Nathan Dos Santos. King Kenny, Canardo Forbes. Ordonez misses it. Laurent Kisiedu leads the break for Memphis. They have numbers. Kisiedu. Shot does come in. It's curled wide of the goal in the end. Rodrigo da Costa taking aim and nearly hitting the target.
Turning your defensive efforts into attacking opportunities, but if you're Rodrigo da Costa, you need to make this run across the shoulder of Joey Farrell and pull him out of position. That's going to open up real estate, but as you pull off, you can just see the numbers of the Riverhounds staying compact in front of that back four. Good first touch, but doesn't get enough on it. Again, yes, Rodrigo da Costa is playing as a number 9, but probably not have the traits as a true out-and-out number 9, making those selfless runs. Because if he makes that run, it pulls out Joey Farrell, then you have Fernando on that far post.
7 goals and 3 assists for Rodrigo da Costa. Came over in that blockbuster trade involving Philip Goodrum going the other way to Tulsa. 2 mainstays at their respective clubs going in opposite directions, and frankly, both teams have benefited from that move. I think that's pretty safe to say to this point. I always hear who won the trade and things like that. There could be 2 winners in this particular transaction. Tulsa, I believe, now have won 5 in a row as well. And Memphis are, despite their winless run in the last 5, are in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference after their slow start to this campaign.
A bit quicker Keymore is there from Rivera. Clear foul there, just catches him on the aftermath.
So Memphis gets a set piece out of it. Aaron Malloy, one of the better set piece takers in the league, stands over it, formerly of Forward Madison in USL League One. Whips it in. Ibarra with a diving header to try and keep it out of trouble, but he does concede a corner on the back end. Almost didn't recognize Mark Ibarra. He's got the new do. And he gets ready to set up defensively for Pittsburgh.
Can you pull it off?
Absolutely not. No, I think he's one of the few, Mark Ibarra. And the Memphis coaching staff wasn't happy about something there. I think you'd have a puncher's chance at pulling it off, Ricky.
Did in my playing days.
There you go.
I had for a little stint there, but it's one of those things you need to do, especially when you're a younger player. Bleach blonde head.
It has become a big thing in the world of soccer. It was driven in by Malloy. Rivera's header, only as far as Emerson Hinman, who resets for Memphis. Ward serving it back into the penalty area. Peters heading it down. Cleared away by Ordonez. How can Pittsburgh break here? Obregon Jr. trying to thread it through for Showunmi. It was going more from left to right than straight ahead.
I'm thinking there's a different angle on this ball from Obregon Jr. Probably plays into the hands of Showunmi. Like you said, Sean, he's making a darting run from outside to in. So you want to play into his path, not at his feet. Obregon tries to play, gets his feet underneath him. That's why you see that transition moment goes begging for a little bit more from the Riverhounds. I do think there is going to be something to be said for Bob Lilly's side in terms of just transition moments. We talked about how methodical and this Memphis line on one side wants to be. They want to be expansive. They want to commit numbers in that final third. So sometimes it leaves them vulnerable going back the other way.
Talked about how this is the third game in a week for Bob Lilly's group. Memphis are without two of their more important players, really, and there's a lot of them that Stephen Glass has at his disposal. Bruno Lapa sent off with a red card in that Orange County game. Jeremy Kelly also sent off. So those are two big midfield pieces that Memphis doesn't have with them here tonight. And to get off to this bright start is probably exactly what they were talking about before they trotted that onto the pitch.
And we were talking off air, just looking at the depth of this Memphis 901 side. If those players are healthy, who's coming off the field?
Yeah.
The talent and the quality that Stephen Glass has at his disposal. And there's a reason why, as of late, Memphis 901 has been a powerhouse in USL Championship.
Might have one of the better midfield groups in the entire league, and that is saying something. Arturo Ordonez for Ibarra.
You take a look at it, Memphis is setting up defensively. Malloy, he's a single pivot in front of that back four. Now it's Turchi. But again, if you can play off that shoulder or that single defensive midfielder for Pittsburgh Riverhounds, there's going to be a lot of success to be had. Watch out.
Ordonez sweeps that away after Wade's pass and follows it up to get Pittsburgh moving forward. Was that handled by Showunmi? Yes, it was. It's a free kick for Memphis before the rest of the sequence could take place. Elton Garcia on the scene.
But these are the movements that you want. It's a clear handball there. The extension of the left arm from Showunmi. On the front line, these are the movements you want between Showunmi and Obregon Jr. As Showunmi comes to feet, you see the movement off the shoulder to stretch the game from Obregon Jr.
Pressure on Romig. Gets it out of trouble. Great header by Ordonez. Nearly got it back in defeat for Pittsburgh, or at least into control. And that was out of play before Ward could acrobatically keep it in play, and it stays with the hosts. Showunmi tried to find Obregon Jr. But he did it quite blindly, I think, with his big sweeping pass into the middle. Just tried to do it quickly, and in the end, Romig controls. Now, we talked about Memphis's depth. I mean, Pittsburgh's depth has been tested as much as anybody's has been in the USL Championship this season, especially with their quarterfinal run in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. They took out Columbus Crew and New England Revolution in New England on that run. You can see there as well, they played the most matches in the league this season. Memphis does have 3 games in hand on Pittsburgh after tonight's result. So they've been, put under a lot of pressure. Bob Lilly's talked about multiple times, has talked about how they've had to use their entire squad. This is going to be a foul against Pittsburgh here, going Memphis's way.
But it's the second time, Sean, that Romig has been very nervy playing out of the back. Hasn't been clean enough for Stephen Glass's liking. That touch extremely long, loses his footing. And I think Memphis 9-1 get away with one here. Roy makes the most of that contact from Ibarra, rightly so. But again, Romig gets the ball, and you're Shawomi and Obregon Jr. You're putting pressure on him early and often.
Just to finish the Pittsburgh point, beg your pardons, they've had international players on duty as well. We talked about Jamali Waite earlier. So it's been a mix of multiple things for the Riverhounds to have to deal with in that regard this season, and boy, have they handled it well. But they're trying to avoid a third straight defeat and a second straight defeat at home, which this season just seems unimaginable, the way they've played at Highmark this season. But they've had so many big games here. So many tough teams have come here and not gotten good results. We'll see if Memphis can follow in Indy's footsteps. And if you look back to last season, their own. Of course, they won here last year as well. Actually brings me to a really great stat from the Pittsburgh media team. Since 2018, Pittsburgh has lost back-to-back games under Bob Lilly just 5 times. So if it happens, I should say this was the 5th time, the last 2, that was the 5th. They did have a 3-game skid in 2022, but that's the only time under Bob Lilly that has happened. So it'd be just the 2nd time under Bob Lilly's tutelage that they would have lost 3 in a row. To put that into perspective, Lou City, Tampa Bay, and Memphis have all had multiple losing streaks this season. So the run that Pittsburgh's been on under Bob Lilly is remarkable just by looking at that stat alone. But again, they are in some danger here, and Memphis would be the team to put them to the sword after Indy did it last time. Long way to go. But Pittsburgh, again, has to fight from behind, a place they haven't done a lot this season. Bob Lilly's boys get a throw-in on the far side as he looks on. Legendary coach. Not just with Pittsburgh, but with Rochester as well. As Elton Garcia has a talking to with Aaron Malloy. And we play on. Memphis are able to collapse on the potential chance. They clear it. Rivera turns Kisiedu. Kisiedu does well, although Etsu is able to track back and win a free kick for Bob Lilly's group. Ordonez has space to run into here for the Riverhounds. Ibarra, back for Ordonez. Ordonez's first time ball into the penalty area is kept alive. But it looks like it did curl out of play before Etsu could center the pass.
Really good passage of play here from the Riverhounds, but if you're Memphis 9-1, both players can't go ball side. Ordonez understands Akeem Ward getting caught a bit high. Again, just lacking that last bit of quality. Once you get in that final third, goes up and over the crossbar. That's why it's called out of bounds. But defensively, that needs to be Rodrigo da Costa step into that field. That ball, Akeem Ward needs to track that runner.
Good 30 minutes for him. Stephen Glass and Memphis 901 FC. As they try to end their long stretch without a victory in the league. They had a historic upset in the Open Cup this season as well. Their first ever win against an MLS side. They beat Atlanta United in the Open Cup. Here is Pittsburgh's Iron Man, Danny Griffin, for 100 Pro League appearances without missing out for Pittsburgh and for Huntsville in the middle of that as well. MLS Next Pro. But Pittsburgh's attack here fizzles out, and it is a Memphis goal kick.
Just hasn't been clean enough at the moment for the Riverhounds. Too many times the ball's getting overhit, not finding its intended target. But give credit to Memphis 901, how compact they've been defensively. From front to back, about 20-25 yards between DaCosta and Jelani Peters. Very difficult to break down a mid to low block, and that's something that Stephen Glass, his boys have been able to get into extremely quick when the ball gets turned over.
Etu sliding it ahead, and then the attack breaks down. DaCosta trying to head it past Nathan Dos Santos, who held his ground. The goal that Pittsburgh conceded back in the 11th minute. Fernando from Malloy. Just the 19th goal in the league that they've conceded this season. That's the second fewest. Only Sac Republic has conceded fewer goals this season. Etu across the face of goal. Ibarra trying to get on the end of his own shot. Ward heads it out of danger for now, but it is a Pittsburgh corner on the back end.
Changing the point of attack against this mid to low block is going to be massive for the Riverhounds. As you make this near post run, if you're Obregon Jr., it's so massive because what it does, it pulls out a center back for a secondary action. Give credit to Shawanmi. Crashes the center of the goal, but Akeem Ward's there at the doorstep to head it out of danger.
Forbes. Good ball in, looking for Ordonez. Couldn't quite square up to it. And then as Etu tried to send it forward, Danny Rivera was taken out. Pittsburgh keep it with a set piece.
Just no need there from Giseadu. Rivera's facing towards the sideline. Now you give.
It's pinged in by Forbes, but too far for Obregon Jr.
It's been very uncharacteristic like for the Riverhounds set piece, especially from Bernardo Forbes. Just hitting a bit too heavy, too much weight on it.
Please enjoy yourself, but also do so in a responsible way that's considerate of those around you. We thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Drew Romig, who, as you were mentioning earlier, Ricky, a little nervy at times when he's had to play the ball at his feet tonight. But his teammates around him have had to bail him out a few times successfully. It's allowed Memphis to hold on to their early advantage. And if recent history says anything, is that Memphis will concede in this game, but will they score enough to win? Or will they buck the trend? Ball is poked ahead to DaCosta, coming together with Griffin, nothing given either way. Ibarra continues on for the Hounds. I think there were some murmurs on both touchlines after that challenge came in, and now Memphis wins it back again. Kisiedu rolling it into the penalty area. Lovely ball across. Griffin gets his boot to it. It is a Memphis corner.
A lot of Memphis 901's attack have just come off the heels of a sloppy turnover from the Riverhounds, but give credit to Bernardo Forbes. The ability to double down. Mace Kisiedu played into a trafficked area, and then it's Danny Griffin doing the defensive duties to double down. You need to be a bit cleaner if you're the Riverhounds, especially centrally.
Well, it's the end of July, getting towards the early stages of August. You can feel the intensity just from the emotion both coaches have shown, especially Stephen Glass and his staff. How important this game is, and Memphis in this important game are 2-0 up. Rodrigo DaCosta heads it home. What a start for the Beale Street boys. 35 minutes into it, they're 2-0 up at Highmark. Incredible stuff.
Highlighting Malloy in the open, just the quality that he possesses on that right foot of a wand. This is not X and O's, this is not game plan, that's just willingness to beat your individual mark as he rises up. It's a terrific header from DaCosta, just plays off the shoulder of Dos Santos and Danny Griffin. Heads it down, and that's a goalkeeper's nightmare. You talk about you bring in Rodrigo DaCosta from Tulsa, how quick can he get into the system? Massive for Stephen Glass, 2-0 in this first half for the visitors.
And Bob Lilly looks for answers from his boys here. Another tough first half at Highmark for Pittsburgh. There haven't been many of them this season, but back-to-back tough halves here to begin games against Indy and now Memphis. And Pittsburgh are firmly behind the 8 ball now here.
Again, if you're Bob Lilly, you're going to be very frustrated because you've had most of the ball, especially in your attacking third. How clinical has Memphis been? 2 opportunities, 2 goals. We talked about having the ability to just to see games out, manage moments, especially.
Shawunmi keeps it alive for Rivera. And it's blocked by Ward and out for a Pittsburgh corner.
And as his first half has progressed, Shawunmi has come alive. As he requires so much attention, just puts this ball into the path of Rivera, and he needs to shoot this.
Back to live action at 2. Blocked away. Memphis just about deal with it. Out it goes for a throw-in to the visitors.
But as this ball rotates out to Rivera, he needs to ask questions of Romig and put this on target. You're about 10 yards out. Hit it low and hard to that far post. Put a lot of pressure on this back line from Memphis line to 1 as you elect to try to cross it back. Hakeem Ward does his defensive duties and puts it out for a corner kick yet again.
2 assists for Aaron Malloy in this game. He now has 5 on the season. That's right at the top of the table as far as assists go for individuals in the USL Championship this season. 8 goals now for Rodrigo da Costa this season. And Memphis, well, if they're not in dreamland, they're knocking on the door of it here. Getting into that Indy 11 territory, and they're looking for more. Malloy again, looks for a goal this time himself, and Waite parries it out for a corner.
Just seems to be first to every 50-50 ball. And again, the little swivel of the hips as he pulls out. Ordonez's up. It's a fantastic save from Waite. You see the power step to propel him to his left-hand side, probably going wide, but it takes no opportunities, no chances, and puts it out for a corner kick.
Could Memphis make it a dream half here? In by Malloy. And again, da Costa was in the area. Ward looks to recycle it. Hinman thinks better of it, and Memphis will restart through Romig. Well, despite the good Pittsburgh possession, every time Memphis gets it, they look likely to do something, if not score. And that might be the most surprising part of this 2.5 game run that Pittsburgh's been on. The goals that they have conceded. Again, it's their first losing streak of the season. The 3 goals in each of the last 2 games they've conceded are the highest totals this campaign so far. Can they get back into this game? Shawunmi's cross into the middle. Cleared out. Pittsburgh gets a throw in the latter stages of the half. Rivera on the throw. Tried to find Shawunmi. Shawunmi is taken down. Free kick for Pittsburgh.
Just a physical presence. Requires so much attention. Goes down, not a lot of contact, but he will make the most of it. And we talked about not having the success you had through the game plan. Set pieces, especially with this man over the ball, need to be extremely important for the Riverhounds.
Forbes is knocking on the door of 50 Hounds assists, and Pittsburgh's knocking on the door of 1,000 franchise goals. But Bob Lilly is just looking for a goal at the end of the half here. From Forbes, it's Griffin, who curls it beautifully, but it's a wonderful save by Drew Romig, and the Hounds settle for a corner.
Information on this ball here from Cornardo Forbes, just rolls it into the path of Danny Griffin. Quality strike, closed up his hips at the last second with the traffic in front of Romig. That's a massive save to punch it up and over the bar. Danny Griffin, the disbelief on his face.
Griffin, across the face, it's cleared off the line, rebound is fought forward, it's in! Pittsburgh scores! They get one back. Joey Farrell scores Pittsburgh's 1,000th goal as a franchise. And the Hounds on the stroke of halftime are back in it. It's 2-1.
Doesn't need to be pretty, just needs to get the ball over the line. We talked about how important set pieces are going to be. Danny Griffin, the composure just to close his hips and put the ball in a dangerous area. And then it's all ping pong. Joey Farrell is the last one to get a touch on it. Pure will. What a way to get your 1,000th goal. Memphis, Pittsburgh Riverhounds cut this lead in half.
The Riverhounds goal. It's scored.
Joey Farrell's name goes down in Pittsburgh history, scoring the 1,000th goal in Riverhounds franchise lore. Just what the Hounds were looking for as well to get back into this game. And we have a game on our hands here at Highmark. It's a historic moment for Pittsburgh, but Bob Lilly's boys know there's still work left to be done here. The hard work for Pittsburgh does pay off here towards the end of the first half. Can they really get back into it here? A free kick is given, and Pittsburgh has a set piece to work with 3 minutes left in the half.
You commit numbers in around that 18-yard box, good things happen, especially with quality service.
And now Ordonez tried to equalize from the set piece, and at point-blank range, Drew Romig has to make another save for Memphis.
And we've seen this from the Riverhounds, just changing the point of attack, but it's your center back Ordonez that ventures up. If you had that back across, it's probably 2-2. You have Obregon Jr. at the doorstep just barking for that ball. As you elect to go near post, that plays into the hands of Romig. Talk about the reaction from the Riverhounds. You go down 2-0. And put on the gas, asking all sorts of questions from the visitors here.
Forbes dealt with by Malloy. Throw in for Pittsburgh. Well, Stephen Glass almost shaking his head as to say, how can we hold on to a lead in a game? Again, they haven't lost it yet, but Pittsburgh have made some real inroads at the end of this first half. Bob Lilly, well, the hat's off. He knows how big of a moment and stretch this can be. Oh, now it's back on again, but the intensity's high at Highmark. Make no mistake about that. Mike's Beer Bar isn't the only home to the famous Steak on a Stone, but also the official watch party location of your Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Meet me at Mike's. Forbes for the Hounds. Etu in support with space in front of him. Etu's cross, looking for Obregon Jr. Farrell, Ibarra. The Hounds reset. Dos Santos. And they get it back to level pegging before the end of the half, Pittsburgh. Ordonez splashing one out to the far side. It's on a plate for Etu, who looks for Obregon Jr., but it's deflected behind. And the former Hound, Jelani Peters, clears for Memphis.
Well, that's that movement that I've been talking about. As Obregon Jr. makes that near post run, he pulls out Graham Smith, and there's a big gaping hole centrally. So if you're Shawunmi and you're a striker, that's where you make your money, in around that 6-yard box. But give credit to Jelani Peters, understands the moment, his positioning was spot on.
We'll see how much added time there will be. We're into the final minute of the half. Fernando and DaCosta for Memphis, and then Joey Farrell for Pittsburgh. Not a bad time to get your first league goal of the season for Joey Farrell. He's given Pittsburgh a bit of a lifeline at the end of this half. And made history in the process. We've just been told there's no scheduled injury time, so it's at the referee's discretion. And Elton Garcia ends the half. What a half here in Pittsburgh. It's felt like a top 4 tilt in the Steel City already. 2 assists for Aaron Malloy on goals by Luis Fernando and Rodrigo DaCosta. Joey Farrell scores Pittsburgh's 1,000th goal in the franchise's history. And we have a big 45 minutes, Ricky, still to come.
I think for the visitors, it just comes with the movement centrally. Malloy and Hyndman needs to get on the ball just a tiny bit more. And for Pittsburgh Riverhounds, you're doing extremely well getting yourself into that final third, but how clinical can you be in this next 45 minutes?
It's a big 45 minutes still to come. Pittsburgh trying to end their losing streak. Memphis in the box seat for now, and they're trying to get their first win in over a month. 2 of the top 4 in the East clashing here in Pittsburgh. It has lived up to the billing so far, and there's a big 45 minutes in the Steel City still to come. Memphis at the half leads Pittsburgh by 2-1.
Cheer on the Riverhounds all season long at Mike's Beer Bar, Pittsburgh's home for local beer. With 21 TVs, over 300 local beers, and amazing food, Mike's is the place to be. Tell your friends to meet me at Mike's, Federal Street, right across from PNC Park.
Pittsburgh, stop breathing dirty air and contaminants trapped in your home's air ducts and dryer vents. Call Sears Air Duct and Carpet Cleaning or go to SearsClean.com. Our professionals will clean and disinfect your home's air ducts with powerful high-pressure vacuum equipment that cleans the air your family breathes. We love our pets, but their hair and dander get trapped in your air ducts and their odors in your carpets and on upholstery. Sears can clean it away. Call Sears Air Duct and Carpet Cleaning for a healthier home. Go to SearsClean.com.
I've got home internet from T-Mobile. It only costs $50 at T-Mobile. Just one cord to set up. Say goodbye to that truck. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. They won't raise your rates at T-Mobile. You'll get a great deal every day.
Home internet from T-Mobile, just $50 a month.
Back here at the half between Pittsburgh and Memphis here at Highmark. This week, the Riverhounds organization lost one of their most influential figures to a long battle with brain cancer. We take a look now back at some of the moments and memories of the Hall of Famer and legend, Gene Klein.
He was very instrumental in laying the foundation for the Riverhounds Academy. He was the one who got it all started. He's been with the organization since 1999, and without him, none of this is possible.
For me, what's important is to have a pro franchise where you have pro players that the younger players can use as role models. If the Riverhounds are not here, if professional soccer is not in Pittsburgh, there's a void for that youth player with professional soccer exploding all over the country. And then there's a bit of a void for that youth player. But now they have the professional team, a youth player, their family, and just really spectators who can come and see a high level of the game. They can come and watch good soccer, and for the younger players, I think that's hugely important.
You've been nothing but a positive influence on me and the entire Riverhounds organization.
Gene is a fantastic technician and a real junkie, inspirational, motivational, and spunky.
You've touched the game in so many different ways, improved lives through soccer in so many different ways, including my own. When they write a story about Pittsburgh soccer, a full chapter will absolutely be dedicated to you and all you've done.
Gene Klein, my good friend. I miss you so much, and I just love you, man.
Are you ready? Ready for more of the game you love? Ready for more players and more teams? ready for more stadiums, for more fans in more cities. This is a different league, the USL Super League. Built for the future of women's soccer, bridging the journey from youth to pro, connected to the global game, and bringing it all closer to home. Are you ready?
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
I've just returned from the Museum of Play. The fairy tale forest, Berenstein Bear Treehouse, superhero universe, it must all be mine. Did you know they have a whole room full of pinball machines? Did you? And that video game arcade? So cool! Oh, I'll be back, Museum of Play.
With so much to do and see, everyone loves the strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York.
Sean St. Jacques, Ricky Lopez, Espen back here with you at the half. A really enthralling contest so far sees Memphis have the lead over Pittsburgh at Highmark at the break by 2-1. And there's a big 45 minutes still to come here in the Steel City. But first and foremost, we take a look at the Week 19 Team of the Week in the USL Championship. And of course, we see Mike DeShields for Pittsburgh, who's not available tonight, but he gets some recognition, and plenty of Western Conference teams represented as well, Ricky.
I think it's so interesting because every time a Team of the Week comes, I think you need to have a Western Conference Team of the Week and an Eastern Conference Team of the Week. There's just so much talent in USL Championship. Philip Goodrum has not missed a beat since leaving Memphis 901 and going to FC Tulsa, but also Rodriguez Acosta has been massive for Memphis 901.
Plenty of Oakland Roots representation there as well. Now we look at the live scoreboard from around the league. Plenty of huge games tonight in the USL Championship. Big one between Loudoun and Miami, scoreless. Indy trying to pull off another road upset. It's 0-0 in Louisville.
I think that one's going to be interesting, but also going to Tampa Bay Rowdies. Nicky Law, first game at the helm for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and they welcome a red-hot FC Tulsa and Philip Goodrum. So that one's going to be one to keep an eye out on.
And then San Antonio, Hartford to come, and we talked about them. Oakland Roots, this is their time of the year. They tend to shine. They play later on tonight as well. And again, this is what it could mean in the East. Memphis with a win could put themselves right in the mix for the top overall seed in the East, and they have plenty of games in hand on all three teams ahead of them. Pittsburgh in particular is trying to pull off a comeback right now in the second half.
You just look at that playoff line, so tight. Every single point matters. You're talking about Indy 11 going to Blue City. How does that look in terms of getting 3 points? But then also Detroit City going to Oakland Roots against the Western Conference. If they win, they're just right into the mix as well.
Love talking about this kind of action at this time of the year. And news and notes in the USL Championship. We talked about teams at the playoff line. Miami could use more of this from Ryan Telfer, who was voted Championship Player of the Week. And Nicky Law played this season MLS Next Pro. Now he's a head coach with the Rowdies.
That's funny because we were talking off air just how quickly things can change, right? You go into Huntsville United as a player's coach, but now Tampa Bay Rowdies have a very good track record of turning players into coaches. So Nicky Law, all the best to him, and they're going to be massive here today against FC Tulsa.
Switchbacks Tulsa, ESPN2 coming up next month as well. Big games to come. Big game here as well at Highmark. We'll get to the 45 minutes coming up very soon.
Ain't no better feeling than a cold one in my
It's Throwback Night at Highmark Stadium, sponsored by Zeds. Enjoy a 90s and 2000 themed night as the Riverhounds host Tampa Bay. The first 500 fans in attendance get an ammo bobblehead presented by KDKA. Tickets start at just $18. Get yours today at riverhounds.com. That's riverhounds.com.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, things just got really gusty.
You got that right. Sweet kite. Is that a dragon?
It's a dinosaur.
I really like yours, too.
Of course, the new scratch-off from the PA lottery.
That's right. $1 million cash fall.
With top prizes of...
Wow, $1 million.
I guess things really are looking up.
It'll blow you away. Keep on scratching.
Sean St. Jacques, Ricky Lopez, Espen back here with you. Moments away from the start of the second half. Pittsburgh looking to come from behind against Memphis 901 FC, but the Beale Street boys have the lead by 2-1 at the half as we recap the first 45 minutes. With some halftime highlights, Ricky, we begin in the 11th minute, and Memphis open the scoring.
Just watch at the top of your screen. The ability to change the direction and create separation as a striker is so important. Joey Farrow gets caught ball watching. He steps high. Talk about composure and quality at the highest order from Fernando. Great first touch, closed up his hips, and just smokes this thing into that near post.
It got better for Memphis. 2 assists for Aaron Malloy. This was the goal for Rodrigo da Costa.
And we talk so much about game plan, but this is not game plan. This is just willingness to beat your individual mark as he rises up. It's a terrific header from Rodrigo da Costa. Low to the ground. It's a goalkeeper's nightmare. 2-0 to the visitors.
They were off to such a good start, but Pittsburgh switched the momentum as we got towards the end of the first half.
This is a fantastic save from Romig, but Danny Griffin hits it so well. You just need to guide into that far post, but the ability to punch it up and over the bar, and Danny Griffin getting involved. He understands as Casadu overcommits. Let me just close my hips and just put this ball in a dangerous area, and good things happen. Joey Farrell, last touch on it. Doesn't need to be pretty, just needs to get over the line.
Pittsburgh's 1,000th goal in the team's history, and it's a scrappy goal. Maybe fittingly, it's a scrappy goal. An unlikely goal scorer, his first of the season. That got Pittsburgh back on the right track, and they nearly equalized moments later.
If you're Ordonez, you see at the far post just widely unmarked, but you have to head it back across where it came from. You have Obregon Jr. there, or just even that far post of Romig. Hit it right to him. Memphis 901 get away with one.
And that really is how we left things at the end of the first 45 minutes. Pittsburgh, despite trailing, had the momentum. And the halftime stats show that Pittsburgh certainly had more of the chances, but Memphis took more of the chances that they created.
I think the game is just all about moments, Sean. Who's going to be more clinical and critical and around that 18-yard box, defensively and offensively? And the answer has been Memphis. We talk about how decisive they've been with DaCosta, with Fernando, and Malloy has been terrific. But for Bob Lilly, you have a lot of the possession, especially when you get yourself into that final third. But what do you do when you're in that final third? How do you execute, whether it's a ball across the face of the goal, someone producing a little bit of a magic? Because this second half is going to be massive for the Riverhounds.
Pittsburgh was able to take back the momentum in the latter stages of the first half. And we'll see if they're the ones that can keep the momentum going, or will Memphis find their dominance that they had in the first 35 minutes of this game. I believe that's one of the superstars that's at the game tonight, entertaining the Pittsburgh fans. Highmark is ready for the start of this second half. Pittsburgh are hoping to avoid a 3-game losing streak. And Memphis are hoping to end their 5-game run without a win in the league. It's a stretch that goes back over a month. And it is very well poised for a vital 45 minutes here at Highmark Stadium. Sean St. Jacques, Ricky Lopez, Espen. The second half is underway in the Steel City. Memphis have the lead. Pittsburgh have the momentum from the first half, and they have possession on the far side. It's thrown right into Showunmi, who's dispossessed. This is where Memphis really did a lot of their damage, winning the ball back and then trying to go the other way. Although this time, well, maybe not. I thought Pittsburgh was going to get the decision there. They have not. Etu is penalized.
I think you need to get him more involved if you're Bob Lilly. An awkward coming together. Like you said, Sean, Fernando has a lot of Junior Etsu around him. over his right shoulder, goes back the other way. But for Bob Lilly, yes, you have wingbacks in Junior Etsu and Daniel Rivera. You need to get them more involved in that final third to ask questions and really test the shape of Buckmaster and Akeem Ward, the two outside backs for Memphis 9-1, widely untested.
Buckmaster wins a free kick for the Beale Street boys. That man, Juan Obregon Jr. had a couple of big chances in the first half. Couldn't find the back of the net. Still looking for his first Riverhounds goal. Of course, we'll see how much of Albert Dikwa and Robbie Mertz we'll see tonight as well. Both on the bench for Pittsburgh. Edward Kizza available as well, another goal scorer for Bob Lilly. For Memphis, it's a bit of slimmer pickings at the moment. Jeremy Kelly and Bruno Lapa suspended for their red cards against Orange County. But Knight Pickering, Leston Paul, Dylan Borzak, all available off the bench for Stephen Glass. Memphis have it in possession, but only for a moment. Kisiedu dispossessed by Forbes, who finds Showunmi. It's laid off nicely here for Etu. Etu into his stride. Etu crosses it into the middle, and it's an easy one for Romig in the end. Drew Romig's had a couple of big saves in this game already. We were talking during the halftime break, Ricky, about expected goals, and Pittsburgh's is much better than Memphis's, but just goes to big saves from Memphis goalkeeper, but also clinical finishing by the Beale Street boys so far. Dangerous toss by Jamali Wade. He just about threads the needle to Rivera. Ordonez just about threads the needle to Ibarra. Mark Ibarra looks to run into some space here for Pittsburgh. Griffin. Etu. Looking for Canardo Forbes. Forbes is crossed into the middle. At the back post, it's in! Danny Rivera equalizes for the Riverhounds. And from 2-0 down, Pittsburgh are level. It's 2 each.
Just mentioned, you need to get your wingbacks involved in the final third. Junior Etu understands if I thread this needle into Canardo Forbes, he's going to get into the interior. He's going to pull out Aaron Malloy. And then that leaves a lot of real estate on the backside. Everyone's ball watching. Everyone's crashing that near post. Who's going to make that far post run? It's the opposite wingback. Rivera, technique on 100. As this ball comes off the turf, quality finish from the highest order. Head down, shoulders over the ball, keeps it underneath that crossbar. Dream start to the second half for Bob Lilly.
2 first-time goal scorers in the league this season for Bob Lilly's group have brought Pittsburgh back. Canardo Forbes gets the assist. It's his 50th as a Pittsburgh Riverhound. It's just been announced inside of Highmark as well. And the Riverhounds' momentum is carried over into the second half. And for a second straight game, Memphis have let a lead slip. And it's the third milestone in a week for Canardo Forbes. He's reached 250 appearances in the league. He's pushing the league record for appearances now. Has over 20,000 minutes in his career. And the assist leader, the all-time assist leader in the league's history, adds to his Pittsburgh tally with his 50th Hounds assist.
Sean just comes under understanding of the rotation centrally. As Junior Etu gets himself higher, that pulls out Reese Buckmaster. And as he gets pulled out, Canardo Forbes understands if I advance myself to that final third, I'm going to ask questions of Aaron Malloy. And everyone's going to make that near post run. We talk about how important it is as a number 9, whether it is Obregon Jr., whether it is Showunmi. And as they do that, they send out all 4 backline players of Memphis 9-1 and Danny Rivera at the back post to finish it off.
King Kenny keeps adding to his incredible resume, captaining the side as we've come to expect for Bob Lilly's group, and it's another milestone in his remarkable career. Laurent Kisiedu He's the player that is slow to get up. Well, Bob Lilly talked to us this week as Stephen Glass looks on about how Kenardo Forbes' career has developed, and he's somebody every year that adds something different to his game. He improves every year, continues to want to learn and get better. Bob Lilly mentioned to us about a conversation that those two had a few years ago about Kenardo Forbes checking off those boxes every offseason. And Bob Lilly just says he shows up every day like he's one of the new boys in the squad, always eager to learn. He's a humble player. He's an incredible player. And he's added another assist.
But just look at the movement. Shawami goes central. That pulls out Akeem Ward, and it's a lack of rotation from Kaseadu on the back post. Changing the point of attack. We talked about it, Sean. Getting your outside backs involved, that gives you a different look. That makes you more expansive, and that opens up gaps. So understanding, as you open up gaps, there needs to be secondary movements. Kenardo Forbes understands that. It's such a well-worked goal for the Riverhounds to draw this game equal.
Pittsburgh are looking for more here. In behind, Peters trying to get in front of Obregon Jr. He shields it out, and it's a Memphis goal kick. Well, we talked about how great Memphis has been this season in the attack, but we also highlighted their defensive struggles at times this season. Pittsburgh have been knocking on the door. That's definitely been a part of it, but once again, Memphis has not been able to hold on to a multi-goal lead.
That's going to be frustrating for Stephen Glass, especially coming out of the break, where you were just so clinical, especially in your attacking phase. Talked about them, especially in the first half, so compact from front to back, not really giving any real estate for the Riverhounds to break through lines. But as you have Kenardo Forbes and Ibarra pick up spaces between and Malloy, Turchai.
Well, now Forbes into the attack for Pittsburgh. He tries to find Rivera again. This time Rivera's forced a little bit further back. Rivera lays it off here. Ordonez right back to the goal scorer, Rivera. Rivera's ball in, takes a deflection. It could fall for a chance! And Griffin, in the end, impeded as he took aim, and the shot goes wide of the goal.
These trailing runs are just so hard to mark up because everyone's going towards their goal line, so that leaves a lot of real estate as a cutback ball. Nothing in that. Emerson Hyman comes off to close down the space. Danny Griffin doesn't get a lot of contact on it, but just misses, just hits the ball. You see the argument for Dos Santos, but it would have been very harsh to point to the spot there.
Romig clears for Memphis, who need to try to re-find some of the magic that they had in the first half. The goals from Luis Fernando and Rodrigo da Costa have been canceled out by Joey Farrell and Danny Rivera. Don't miss a minute of the action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home. Catch nearly every second of USL Championship action on ESPN+. This ball is sent into the middle. It's Obregon Jr., saved by the goalkeeper. A second try, and it is in! Pittsburgh have totally turned the game on its head now. Juan Obregon Jr.'s first goal for the club sees the Riverhounds come from 2-0 down to lead 3-2 at Highmark.
Just simple breakdowns for Memphis 901. That's your right back pressing so high, and your right center back, Graham Smith, that gets beaten. As the ball comes centrally, Jelani Peters just so unlucky. Loses his footing. Second bite at the apple. Obregon does very well initially to open up his hip, but it's straight at Romig. But as the ball pops out, give credit to the center back. Excuse me, to the center striker. Second bite at the apple, makes no mistake about it. And the Riverhounds, what a second half they've had.
3 players scoring for the first time for Pittsburgh this season. After 35 minutes, it seemed Memphis were in complete command. The script has completely changed here. The Riverhounds hit another high here at Highmark. And it is going to be a booking for Obregon Jr. for taking his shirt off. He's not going to care right now. The Hounds are back in front for the first time tonight. 2-0 down. They lead 3-2. And we're told that Graham Smith, in the middle of that sequence, was also booked from Memphis. And now, after we were saying that Pittsburgh was in trouble in the first half, Memphis are in a heap of trouble right now.
You just leave yourself exposed. Reese Buckmaxter is just caught a bit too high, and that puts pressure on Graham Smith to shift over. And as he gets beaten on that individual action, a lot of pressure on Jelani Peters, just very unlucky, loses his footing. What a massive first goal for Obregon Jr. in a Pittsburgh Riverhounds jersey.
That's what Bob Lilly and his staff brought him in for some depth behind the likes of Dikwa and Obregon Jr. with his biggest contribution as a Pittsburgh Riverhound to date. And there's still a big chunk of game left. Well, Pittsburgh this season, when they've trailed at the half, it's happened, including this game, 7 times this season. They've only won once. They could be on the path to doing it again in a huge game here against Memphis at Highmark. The game has been completely turned on its head. Etu for Pittsburgh looking to continue the momentum. He goes down in the penalty area. Elton Garcia says nothing doing, we play on. Saw you shaking your head as well, Ricky. You didn't feel it was a penalty. Looked like maybe live it would have been soft to give.
But he's been so active since coming out of the break. It's a brilliant individual play there. Just goes down way too easy. Junior Etu's looking for the contact. You start to see as the wingbacks get themselves in that final third, just asking questions, exposing both center back from Memphis 9-1. Reese Buckmaster, has been getting caught out of possession far too easily.
Well, it does look like Pittsburgh are getting at least 2, maybe more changes ready on the near side. Saw Dikwa getting ready, and Luke Biasi has his penny off for now, although it looks like he might be putting it back on. We will see. Those were the 2 that Bob Lilly called up initially. Biasi's penny is back on, so we will wait confirmation on that. Well, Bob Lilly has talked to us multiple times this season about the next man up mentality, how deep this group is, how multiple players in stressful situations have come through for Pittsburgh this season. And in a game where Pittsburgh had lost 2 in a row coming in, down 2-0, 3 first-time Riverhounds goal scorers have helped them change the tide. And they're on the hunt for more here. Griffin, Etu, Canardo Forbes. Etu for company, tried to slide it right back for Forbes. It's cut out. Memphis can clear it for DaCosta, but DaCosta can't hold on to possession. With 31 minutes left, Jamali Waite resets for the Hounds. Etu looking to head it on for Obregon Jr. He's able to hold up the play here for the Hounds, the goal scorer. Does very well. Can he pick out a pass? He can! Oh, nearly for Showunmi, who got a boot to it, but couldn't steer it past Romig or into his control. Buckmaster, half an hour left. Pittsburgh have come back from 2-0 down to take the lead. A slip there. Sees Obregon Jr. play it in for Ibarra. Showunmi's through the middle for Pittsburgh. It's Tola Showunmi, 4-2. Brilliant finish. 4th goal of the season for Tola Showunmi. Pittsburgh trailed by 2-0 in this game. With half an hour left, they lead by 2. It's Pittsburgh 4, Memphis 2.
But once again, Sean, it's just lack of defending 101. That's your center back, Graham Smith, that steps up into that midfield third. And as he does that, it's slow in rotation. if you're Jelani Peters, you have to have the ability to provide cover. Reese Buckmaxter, again, gets caught ball side, but give credit to Shawanmi. Is very good, uses his body as the shield, and then a clinical and fantastic finish. Guides it into that far post. He's been massive in the second half, and Bob Lilly, whatever you said at halftime, has been massive for the Riverhounds.
What a response from the Riverhounds, indeed, in this second half. 4 goals by 4 different goal scorers for Bob Lilly's group. And Memphis, who had the game by the scruff of the neck in the first half, have seen a 2-goal lead turn into a 2-goal deficit here at Highmark. Well, Bob Lilly knows there's still a long way left to go in this game, but boy, has his team responded. They didn't against Indy. He flat out said that to us in the week. They have more than done that tonight, and Memphis are taking a team timeout here during some alterations for Pittsburgh as they try to talk through what has happened in this second half. Now Albert Dikwa, he's going to come on here for Pittsburgh. Bernardo Forbes was coming over to get some instructions from Bob Lilly. Mike's Beer Bar is the official watch party location of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC. Meet me at Mike's. Well, good hand here for Juan Obregon Jr. He is going to come off here for Albert Dikwa. Great big first contribution for him in his Pittsburgh career. And the Golden Boot chaser, Albert Dikwa, comes on to replace him. We're going to see Luke Biasi come on for the most recent Riverhounds goal scorer, Tola Shawanmi. More of a defensive change, maybe a tactical change as well for Bob Lilly. And then for Memphis, Knight Pickering, he's going to come on. That's the end of the night for Laurent Kisiedu from Memphis.
We have substitutions for both teams.
As Memphis changed to try and get back into this game. And Pittsburgh changed to try to see this out.
Also out for Memphis, 901, number 8, Lucas Turchi. And into the match, number 3, Carson Von Steeg.
So Memphis made 2 changes. Carson Von Steeg and Knight Pickering came on. Turchi and Kisiedu came off. And we saw the 2 Pittsburgh changes. The 2 goal scorers, Obregon Jr. and Shawanmi, off. Pittsburgh's leading goal scorer, Albert Dikwa, 10 goals this season. He's on. And the defender, Luke Biasi, come on as well. Dikwa trying to get on the end of a ball early from Griffin. Steeg gets into the game here from Memphis, and Pittsburgh keep it with a throw on the far side. We'll see what Memphis are made of now. We've seen what the Pittsburgh Riverhounds are made of in this second half. Does Memphis have a comeback up their sleeves here? They're involved in another high-scoring affair in the USL Championship. It was 4-3 against Orange County last time out. It's 4-2 at Highmark against Pittsburgh tonight. Bob Lilly even talked about how important this game was just from a head-to-head standpoint. As we get closer to the end of the season, and that's a poor clearance from Romig, who's been good at times tonight for Memphis in goal, but at other times he has been a bit nervy. He's back on his heels with Biasi looking to cross into the middle, nobody home in black and yellow for Pittsburgh. Ward controls.
It's going to be a different look now for the Riverhounds. 4-1 formation-wise, and you have Albert Dikwa as a single number 9 on the front line. Danny Griffin, single pivot right in front of that back four, and then you have Bernardo Forbes next to Ibarra with Biasi and Dia and Etsu on either side. And for Memphis 9-1, switching into a 3-back, you have Buckmaster as the near-sided wing-back on the far side. Akeem Ward going to push a line higher, so you need to get them involved and get them playing touchline to touchline to open up gaps between the lines of this Riverhounds back line.
Malloy has 2 assists for Memphis tonight on both of the goals. Bob Lilly always talks to us about dictating the game, stamping your authority on proceedings. Pittsburgh has done that in the second half. We'll see if they can hold out a very strong Memphis attack in these last 24 minutes plus. Near side, Buckmaster forced back. Smith, who's on a yellow card for the Beale Street Boys, finds Peters, formerly of Pittsburgh. Backwards from Hindman. Smith again. Buckmaster scored that brilliant volley against Orange County last time out. Fernando tries to play him in here. Biasi's on the cover. Buckmaster wins a throw-in for Memphis on this near side.
Mike's Beer Bar is the official watch party location of
Well,
the Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Memphis in that Orange County game were 2-0 up. They were 3-1 up as well. Orange County came back to win 4-3. Tonight they were 2-0 up, and Rodrigo da Costa, who put them 2-0 up, is offside here. And since then, Pittsburgh have answered with 4 unanswered goals for Bob Lilly. And in the live table, Pittsburgh, if they can hold on, would get to 41 points, which live, even though Charleston do have a game in hand and the Rowdies have 2 games in hand, would put Pittsburgh, as it stands, 5 points clear at the top of the East if this result holds. Ibarra. That ball is slid through. Offside flag is up, and Dikwa couldn't finish anyway.
You know, he wants to get on the score sheets. It's coming on the field. Side has scored 4 goals. You would think Albert Dikwa would have something to say with that. Just talks about the depth and the quality, especially on the front line for Bob Lilly. It's a glimpse of his movement, just playing off the shoulder, how explosive he can be at stretching the back line of opposing teams.
A lot of games now in full swing around the USL Championship. 0-0 between the Rowdies and Tulsa in Tampa Bay as FC Tulsa look to keep their incredible winning run alive. Miami leading at the half at Loudoun by 2-1. Birmingham leading Charleston at the half by 1-0. And 25 minutes in Edinburgh, Texas, it's RGV 2, El Paso 2. They've had 4 goals in less than half an hour. And the Lou City Indy game, big rivalry there at Lynn Family. They're 23 minutes in, it's 0-0. And there's big games still to come tonight. Ball poked forward, looking for Dikwa's run. It didn't continue. And Memphis will recycle the possession with just over 20 minutes left.
But once again, Sean, Graham Smith is just a bit overzealous stepping into that middle third. And as he steps in, it's a lack of rotation that's been detrimental to this Memphis 901 side, whether it's Buckmaster, whether it is Jelani Peters shifting over and providing coverage. And that's what's been lacking from Memphis 901, especially on the defensive front of this match.
Want to watch the action from on the field here at Highmark Stadium? If so, make sure to call 412-865-GOAL to reserve the IC Light corner kick suite today. Biasi to Dikwa. Etu, how good has he been for Pittsburgh tonight? He gets involved there, nearly gets it back. Headed away by Smith for Memphis into the path of the Irishman, Malloy. Memphis have 20 minutes left to try and save themselves a point. Or are Pittsburgh going to complete another memorable night here at Highmark? There's been many of them this season. Rivera, who equalized for Pittsburgh. Now Memphis look to counterattack here. Da Costa. Lovely little back heel night. Pickering makes a good run, but it's snuffed out defensively by Pittsburgh at the back. Griffin helping out. Dikwa makes a good run. It's curled into his path. Dikwa holds up the play to invite Griffin in. Biasi. Forbes as well. Been a big night on multiple fronts for Pittsburgh, for some of the individuals on the team, for the team itself, and for the franchise. Could get better here. Etsu has Dikwa in the middle. His cross takes a deflection off of Smith, and it is a Hounds corner.
You give them time and space, especially Conrado Forbes and Danny Griffin. They can pick you apart. Picks up their head, then moving on the front line as Junior Etsu just gets in around the corner. Beats Graham Smith and just takes a little bit too long to make a decision, and that gives time and space for this back line for Memphis to drop down and put it out for a corner kick.
And we just saw a brief look at Stephen Glass. As his team defends this corner, it's whipped in at pace, but right at Drew Romig. He will reset for Memphis. Oh, the crowd, I believe, is applauding for Gene Klein, who we lost earlier this week. And we talked about it in the first half, talked about it at halftime as well. Just an icon in soccer in these parts. It's a well-deserved ovation from the fans here at the club that he really helped build to get it to this point where we see it now and that these fans get to enjoy here today. He will be missed. Ibarra putting some pressure on Malloy with Dikwa's help. Malloy was pulling the strings so beautifully in that first half, and since then it's just gone all wrong for Memphis.
Been all one-way traffic, especially in the second half for the home side. Looking at this Memphis line on one side, just on the attack in front of the game, just the lack of movement, the lack of breaking a line with runs, whether it is Fernando, whether it is the Costa. They always want the ball to feet. And Sean, you ask any center back, an easy day at the office is everything in front of you. You just step in, you move left to right. So how do you pull out a center back? It's going to be the question for Memphis 9-1, but you bring in Akeem Ward now on the front line. That gives you a different look.
Pickering fouled by Forbes. Free kick for Memphis.
We talked about it. Yes, it's all been in front of this back line, but set pieces, especially when you have Aaron Malloy, the quality that he possesses, especially from 35 yards in. It's a really big opportunity for the visitors here.
Like we saw Robbie Mertz, Patrick Hogan getting set for Pittsburgh, but there is a set piece to deal with for the Hounds first. Two of the best at these moments, Malloy and DaCosta, having a conference about this set piece opportunity. Malloy looks poised. This is within range for Aaron Malloy. But it's DaCosta who strikes instead. And he sends it soaring over the top of Jamali Waite's goal and out for a goal kick.
You need to hit it so well with enough power and enough pace and enough movement to get it up and over the wall underneath the crossbar, especially to beat a goalkeeper with the quality of Waite.
Well, the subs are coming here for Pittsburgh. Junior Etsu and Nathan Dos Santos are going to come off. Pat Hogan is on for Pittsburgh, and the local lad Robbie Mertz comes on as well to try to help the Riverhounds get this over the line. Well, two very good shifts from those two boys tonight for Bob Lilly's group, as they've helped to turn the tide of this contest into Pittsburgh's favor. If you're just joining us on ESPN+, you've missed a whale of a contest. Still 15 minutes left in it, of course. Memphis were 2-0 up after 35 minutes, but by the hour mark, Pittsburgh had turned it all the way around to lead by 4-2, and that is where we stand as of now. Sean St. Jacques, Ricky Lopez, Espin, our entire crew. This game has more than lived up to the hype so far. A top four clash in the East that could see Pittsburgh go 5 points clear at the top of the Eastern Conference, and could see Memphis, if it stays like this, drop from 4th to 5th in the East and go 6 matches without a victory as we enter the month of August for these two next week. Well, what a roller coaster ride it has been for Memphis this season. The slow start they got off to, everyone was wondering, are they going to be what we saw from them last year under Ben Pierman? Then Stephen Glass was able to really revitalize the group. Rodrigo da Costa coming in helped. And they went on an incredible run after that, a franchise-setting run of unbeaten games as we got to the middle point of the season. But now, if it stands like this, 6 games without a win, and as you can see there, 6 of the next 7 on the road as well for Memphis. It doesn't get any easier for the Beale Street boys.
It's so difficult to pick up points, especially when you're on the road in USL Championship. So if you go up a lead, you need to have the ability just to keep that lead. It changes the way that you approach a game, especially as we get into the later parts of this campaign. Decision-making has become that much more vital. Taking care of the ball becomes that much more important, and that's something that if you're Stephen Glass, just the goals that you've given up, it's just been simple mishaps defensively. Too many times, whether it's Graham Smith, whether it's Buckmaster on this near side, getting caught a bit too high, and then it's just as one player steps, the other 3 need to provide that coverage, and that's just simple one-on-one defending. Nothing that take nothing away from the Riverhounds. They've been so good in the second half, especially. But again, Stephen Glass, you're up 2-0. How this thing just slipped through your fingertips, that's going to be massively frustrating for a manager of that quality.
And Bob Lilly talked to us about the importance of this game, not just for the head-to-head, but also for the schedule that they have coming up as well. Pittsburgh has a bit of a gauntlet moving forward as well, and see from the intensity on both touchlines how much this one meant tonight. Still time left, of course, for the twists and turns to continue, but at the moment, Pittsburgh are in pole position. 4 different goal scorers for Pittsburgh tonight. 3 of them hadn't scored for Pittsburgh this season. And then a 4th goal on the campaign for Tola Shoanmi moments before he was substituted, as Pittsburgh on the verge with 12 minutes left of potentially getting to 41 points and being 5 points clear of Charleston and Tampa Bay at the top of the table in the East.
But again, John, you just see how congested that center part of the park is for both of these sides. If you're Memphis 9-1, that's not what you want. You want to be expansive. You want to be touchline to touchline, box to box. Someone just pulling out a center back of Joey Farrell and Patrick Hogan. Everything has been in front of them. I mentioned it once, I mentioned it again. You need someone to be a bit selfish in terms of their movement.
Ward stretched too far that time, couldn't get on the end of the pass from Fernando, who got us started.
It's a good ball.
In the 11th minute. It finds Forbes here on the near side for Pittsburgh. Biasi. Well, he's curled in behind. Dikwa heads into the path of Ibarra. And now it's Danny Griffin looking for Forbes. Gerardo Forbes keeps it in for Pittsburgh. Plays in Biasi. Biasi's ball across takes a deflection. And Romig corrals for Memphis. Select, the official match ball supplier, the USL Championship and many leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.selectsportamerica.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. We're getting to that point in the calendar in the USL Championship. All the games mean so much for not only just making the playoffs, but especially for these two. Playoff positioning, home playoff games and seeding are so important. Especially when you turn the calendar over to August and then definitely September. It's when this league heats up even more. We've heard multiple coaches over these last few weeks even just talk about how the level of the league, even from last year to this year, has been raised another level. There are no easy games. All the games mean so much to everybody involved. And it's just going to get more and more good as we get to the latter stages, end of the run-in of this regular season. The intensity and the drama could be very much like it's been tonight, and that's at a very high level. Memphis is running out of time here in Pittsburgh. Down 2 with 9 minutes of the 90 left. Calm clearance there from Jamali Wade. Biasi makes sure it's cleared across the halfway line. It's headed down for Forbes to control beautifully and running into space. Ibarra. Well, Pittsburgh might want to try to kill this game off fully here. Biasi. Griffin asked for it. Griffin gets it. Forbes. Inviting ball out wide here. Curling ball in by Rivera. It's Dikwa! And what a chance for Albert Dikwa to add on to his goal-scoring tally. It goes wide of the goal.
Just so patient. Went to join the attack as a wingback and had the quality of service that we've seen from Rivera. Puts it on a platter for Albert Dikwa. And we talked about him in the open, the movement to get on the end of things. Makes that darting run from centrally to that near post space, just unable to get it on target. You know he's hungry. He wants to get on the score sheet and put this thing to 5-2.
Memphis makes 2 changes. The last 2 outfield players that Stephen Glass has at his disposal are now on. Dylan Borzak is on for the goal scorer, Luis Fernando. And Leston Paul comes on for the former Hound defender, Jelani Peters. Those are the last 2 rolls of the dice that Stephen Glass really can make. Aaron Seeger is on the bench, but he is the backup goalkeeper for Memphis. And Bob Lilly is getting ready a substitution as well. We will get to that in just a moment. Looks like DZ Harmon is getting ready to enter the field of play as well. Scored in the 3-1 loss at Charleston a couple of games ago against his former club, no less. DZ Harmon, former Battery player. Memphis give the ball away in the midfield here. Pittsburgh could be on the counter again. Dikwa to Mertz. Robbie Mertz plays it centrally. Griffin waits options to appear. Forbes is one of them. Hogan sends it out to the far side. Step in by Ward. Allows Memphis to send it forward, but Joey Farrell resets for Pittsburgh. Well, what a story to tell your grandkids at some point for Joey Farrell. I scored the 1,000th goal in Pittsburgh Riverhounds' history, and it started the comeback tonight. Dikwa. Ibarra. Can Pittsburgh seal it here? Griffin. Rivera, who tied the game at 2. Ibarra looking for Dikwa. The goalkeeper has spilled it. But in the end, has enough time roaming to get back on top of it.
Just seem a bit more patient, this Riverhound side coming out of the break. Not playing direct, just picking and choosing their times, when to go wide, but also when to combine centrally. And that man has been a focal point in around that 18-yard box. I think you go out and you get those wing backs involved for Bob Lilly. That's really been the game changer. Something we didn't see in the first half. Everything was just centrally, everything was just route one into Obregon Jr. and Shawanmi. But as you get Nuretsu, who's now off the field, and Rivera and more involved, that asks question to test the shape of Memphis 901. And as you pull out those outside backs, that's when the gaps open up. They've been so decisive in that final third.
Well, another career night and milestone night ends for King Kenny. Canardo Forbes exits here, giving Dikwa the captain's armband. DZ Harmon will replace him. And Canardo Forbes gets another good hand from the Highmark faithful here after another great performance and another incredible milestone checked off the list.
Just such a special player, not only for the Riverhounds, but for USL Championship as a whole. The quality, how comfortable he is on the ball. The assist for the Riverhounds is not something you take lightly.
Under 5 minutes of the 90-plus stoppage time left. The 35 minutes gone. Memphis, we're 2-0 up. Game looked totally different at that juncture. It feels like ages ago. But Pittsburgh got a goal back. That Joey Farrell historic 1,000th goal for Pittsburgh's franchise. That got it to 2-1. And Pittsburgh rode that momentum into the second half to score 3 more. Now Now it's Memphis trying to find some opportunities here. DaCosta, who scored their second goal for Memphis 901, wins a free kick for the Beale Street boys with 4 minutes of the 90 remaining. Now there is Joey Farrell. A little bit of an issue there, maybe with a cramp, but he's back on his feet. What a night it's been for him. What a night it's been for Pittsburgh. And the fans appreciate his effort. Malloy from the set piece for Memphis. Is headed down. Dikwa sends Danny Griffin on his way. Akeem Ward is there for Memphis. And Drew Romig will recycle the possession for the visitors. USL's second annual summer showcase signals the start of the sprint to the finish. Philip Goodrum, FC Tulsa head west to face Romario Williams in Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC. FC Tulsa and Switchbacks FC Wednesday, August 9th, 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. It just keeps getting better with the USL Championship. So many big games to come. If they keep living up to like this game did, the hype that is, we're going to be in for a heck of a finish. Easy enough there for Jamali Waite. I just looked at a couple of the other games going on, Ricky. Tampa Bay have scored. They lead Tulsa now by a 0-0 early in the second half in the northern part of Florida. And Lou City have scored against Indy 11 on the stroke of halftime. They lead by a 0-0 at Lynn Family Stadium. Boy, do Danny Cruz's boys need a result tonight. We'll see if they can get back on track. Memphis wins a free kick. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Ricky. Which race is the most intriguing, east or west, as we get closer to the run-in in the USL Championship? It's a tough one, I think, but I'm curious if you have thoughts on that.
I think you have to look at, especially for this Eastern Conference, the Riverhounds have games in hand. So once everyone's on a playing field, I think that's going to play out a bit more, but take nothing away from the Riverhounds. They've been so good as of late. Obviously, the last two results, not so, but before that, just went on a tremendous run. But you look at this Western Conference, you have the Oakland Roots coming alive, and we talked about, you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, Sean, that it's around this time when they flip the script, but now they're in a higher position. So what does their ceiling look like? I mean, the reigning champions, they lost last time out against the struggling Miami FC side. In Sacramento, Mark Briggs, talking about quality, taking care of Phoenix Rising. I think if you look at the ability to fluctuate on the top line, my eyes go to the Western Conference a bit more. But again, that's nothing away from the Eastern Conference, especially from the Riverhounds, because you have so much talent. But I think there's been more constant top seeds in the Western Conference. Will that answer your question?
I think so. I mean, Orange County comes to mind as well, right? And you look at what San Diego's done. New Mexico's in the mix. Monterey Bay, I should say, plays Phoenix later on tonight. That's a huge game on the playoff line in the West. This is what makes it so tricky. Then you look at the playoff line in the East, what Tulsa's been doing of late. They can't seem to lose or drop points at the moment. Indy 11, that huge win here against Pittsburgh. Detroit City has turned a corner. Can Miami keep going in the right direction? And can Loudoun get back into it as well? They're not out of it yet either.
I mean, you look at the live table right now in the 11, sitting in that final.
Hold on a minute here, Ricky. We've seen a red card here. Second yellow has come out as we've entered 4 added minutes at the end of this game, and that is it for Graham Smith. Just on the stroke of stoppage time, Memphis go down to 10 men here. And the night for them has gone from bad to worse.
I think the argument from a referee is just coming over the backside of Albert Dikwa. Able to get a clean look at it. I think you have to be a bit confused if you're Graham Smith. Maybe there was an extracurricular activity before the fact. But again, if you're on a yellow card and you're Graham Smith, you have to be a bit smarter of when to go into that challenge. It's the 90th minute. You're in your own attacking half. There's no need to challenge Albert Dikwa that aggressively. Just stay your ground. Run up on his backside and make him play negative, and your job is done. But as you try to overcommit yourself like you've done most of the second half, you get yourself in a lot of trouble in an early shower. So again, decision making, and that goes back to something that Memphis 901 has been lacking. You go up 2-0, your decision making needs to be a bit better, and also just the challenges that you go into, especially when you're on a yellow card for Graham Smith.
Malloy was booked for dissent, trying to argue against that second yellow card against Graham Smith. Well, Memphis's perspective, they thought it was a soft second yellow. You could see Stephen Glass having a word with the officials on this near side, but Pittsburgh were saying that when Graham Smith came through the back, he got a piece of the head of his opponent on the way through, and that Pittsburgh deemed, or thought they would justify why the second yellow was given. And well, it's going to be back to the drawing board for Stephen Glass and Memphis 901, two very tough results to take. 3 times in the last 2 games, not to harp on it, but Memphis has had a 2-goal advantage, and each time they have let it slip.
And also very different halves, just in terms of their mentality from Memphis 901, how compact they were defensively in that first half, trying to catch Riverhounds out in transition moments and execute in that final third. And we start to see them spread apart, gaps open up between lines, not as compact as we saw from front to back, from side to side. And when you give time and space for, especially the players in the middle of the park, for the Riverhounds to pick apart your back line, it's going to be a long night defensively.
Malloy cuts out the pass from Arturo Ordonez, and then it'll be speared in behind and out of play for a goal kick for Memphis, who have about a minute and change left. I beg your pardon, it did go out for a throw for Borzak to take. Loudoun, Indy, and San Diego all on the road coming up for Memphis during that incredible road stretch they have coming up. It's going to be very difficult for them, which is why tonight was so important for Pittsburgh. 2 home games, but Tampa Bay comes in next, Hartford after that, and then they're on the road for 3 in a row, including Orange County, Hartford again, and then they play the champions San Antonio in Texas. Doesn't get easier for these two as we get towards the stretch run to the playoffs. Four minutes are up here at Highmark. Pittsburgh in possession. Await Elton Garcia's watch and his whistle. What a night it's been for Pittsburgh. So many historic moments and an incredible comeback to cap off a memorable evening for Highmark and its faithful. The pressure there for Farrell. He deals with it. Up ahead to Dikwa. Dikwa just couldn't keep his footing before Memphis cleared it over the halfway line. There's Biasi. He lets it go out of play in front of Bob Lilly for a Memphis throw. Elton Garcia puts the whistle to his lips, and that's it. A historic night for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They come from 2-0 down to beat Memphis by 4-2. They score the franchise's 1,000th goal in the process, and they strengthen their lead at the top of the Eastern Conference with a memorable win over their Eastern Conference rivals from Memphis tonight. Joey Farrell scores Pittsburgh's 1,000th goal. It was the start of a memorable comeback. Memphis was 2-0 up after 35 minutes. But Joey Farrell, with the club's 1,000th goal, got them back within 1 on the stroke of halftime, and then everything completely changed. He is the Heineken Man of the Match, and he started the comeback for the Riverhounds.
Not only because it's the 1,000th goal for the Riverhounds, but just the psychic of the game. You go down 2-0 in the first half. You needed a response, and Joey Farrell, probably not the prettiest goal he'll ever score, or the Riverhounds, but the most effective, that is for sure.
What a night, what a game in Pittsburgh. The Riverhounds come from 2-0 down. They win it 4-2 at Highmark, and we will wrap up this enthralling encounter coming up next.
At AHN, we see you juggling 100 things at once.
Seriously?
And slowing down, taking in every moment together. We see you finding time for what's important. And realizing when it's time, you don't have to go far.
We gotta go.
Okay, I got you. I can fast. At AHN, we see you.
It's Throwback Night at Highmark Stadium, sponsored by Zeds. Enjoy a 90s and 2000 themed night as the Riverhounds host Tampa Bay. The first 500 fans in attendance get an ammo bobblehead presented by KDKA. Tickets start at just $18. Get yours today at riverhounds.com. That's riverhounds.com.
Sean St. Jacques, Ricky Lopez-Espin back here with you, recapping a thriller in the Steel City tonight. The Riverhounds triumphant on a historic night. They beat Memphis by 4-2. Ricky, here's how it all went down. And it started out beautifully for Memphis. Luis Fernando scoring for the second time in as many games at Highmark in as many seasons.
Just so decisive, the change of angle, then a quality finish. And then as the Costa comes up on the end of it, just beats his individual mark. But with a question mark for the Riverhounds, can you have a response? It's Joey Farrell. Yes, it's the 1,000th goal for the Riverhounds, but also it cuts this lead into half right before halftime. And as halftime, Sean, everything changed for the Riverhounds.
Bernardo Forbes got his 50th Pittsburgh assist, and Danny Rivera equalized at the start of the second half.
But you get your wingbacks involved, you be expansive, and you get numbers in around that 18-yard box, especially on the weak side. But look at the top of your screen as Obregon Jr. just plays off the shoulder of Jelani Peters. Yes, it's unfortunate for the center back, but he gets a second bite at the apple and makes no mistake about the finish.
And speaking of great finishes, Tola Shoanmi scored Pittsburgh's fourth, and it's just a beautiful touch and finish.
The ability to recover and get your body, watch the hips as he closes them at the last second, has eyes for that far post and just guides it. Doesn't need to hit it too hard because the placement is to perfection. When we take a look at the match stats for the Riverhounds, you talk about the first half versus the second half. You get more players involved, especially in wide areas. You stretch your opposition. As you stretch our position, that's when gaps open up with movement centrally, and that was a key for Bob Lilly. And for Stephen Glass and Memphis 901, you play with the lead. How do you secure that lead? That's going to be the question going forward for Memphis 901.
Tough road stretch for Memphis coming up as well, but it is Pittsburgh's night on a historic evening at Highmark. The club scores its 1,000th goal and comes from behind to beat Memphis by 4-2 after being 2-0 down after 35 minutes. For Ricky Lopez-Espin and our entire crew, I'm Sean St. Jacques. We say so long from the Steel City. Another thriller in the USL Championship tonight. But it's Pittsburgh's night. They beat Memphis by 4-2 after they come from 2-0 down.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.